Shalom, shalom, shalom. Hey, what's going on? My name is Michael Sahno, and welcome to this episode of the 12 Cities in Israel podcast. I am here with Einat Cohen from Yedidim Insurance Agency, and she is here to tell us about health insurance in Israel. Einat, thank you so much for coming to the show. I appreciate it.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Now, you were telling me in our conversation before that your family has been 6 generations in Israel.
Yeah. 6 generations from one of my grandparents' side, and the others came, one of my grandmother came from Poland, the other one from Russia, but the other part is 6 generations. I'm the 6th generation.
Wow, that is amazing.
Yeah,
that is absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
You do hear that, and that's one of the things that people don't get, is that there were a lot of Jews who were born and raised here before the state was even established. So that's fabulous.
yeah.
Kol hakavod. Not that you had control over that.
Not to me, but to my grandparents, yeah.
Absolutely. Now, you're here because I know your father. Now, I have been coming to Israel every year, and that started with my ulpan at Ben Gurion University. Your father, can you tell me a little bit about him?
Yeah, he was, I think he was 30 years in the Israeli army. He was a colonel in the Israeli army.
Wow.
And after he retired, he went in Israel, he retired very young, around the age of 40.
Wow.
So the army, he retired from the army. So he went, he was a shaliach abroad of the JNF, Jewish National Fund, to Montreal. And I went with him, all the family. We spent 2 years in Montreal. And he was an educational shaliach and went all over the Canada and met young people, explained about Israel, tried to raise people to come to Israel. When we came back after 2 years from Montreal, he got the position of managing the overseas of the school of Tel Aviv University. And after 9 years in the school, he retired, and he went.
Can I ask you, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
what year was that?
When we came from Canada, it was 1980.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and 1980 until 1989, something like that, he was in Tel Aviv University. After that, he joined Harel Insurance, and he saw the need that there will be some insurance for tourists and foreigners and students, especially foreign students in Israel. Because when he was in the school, the manager of the school, so everybody came with a piece of paper, and when something really happened, nobody knew what to do, how to claim the medical expenses. And then he, with the Harel Insurance Company, they started the project of insurance for foreigners and students and foreigners in Israel.
Now, what exactly is Harel Insurance? Because people in America have an understanding of how insurance works. We have an understanding of, we don't have government supported healthcare. We don't, so our insurance is purely private. We pay for an insurance policy usually through our employer. Sometimes we get them private, but that's not the case here in Israel.
In Israel, it's different because we have Chok HaBriut HaMamlachti. It's a law that I think 20 years ago it was established in Israel. We have 4 medical providers in Israel, and every person can join one of the providers, and they must take him. They cannot say no. It's a national law that everybody can join, which medical provider they choose. This is for the Israelis. They made it that people will not stay here without insurance, without medical care, which is very important.
What prompted that law? If you're aware,
What do you mean? What is?
like what caused that law to come in? So, National Health Service
Yeah.
in Great Britain at the end of World War II, Winston Churchill said, "With everything we've been through, no one should have to pay for their health insurance." Is that something similar that happened? Was there an event that occurred here, or was that just, hey, we got a great idea?
I don't remember exactly, but I think it
That's
was
okay.
a thought that people will not stay in the country without insurance. So everybody pay percentage from the salary
Okay.
to Social Security. They transfer the money to the providers. And of course, the government also support because it's not enough. So the government support. And everybody entitled to have insurance, which is great because then you don't find many people who are sick and cannot get save their lives and get health insurance, medical treatment,
Wow.
which is important. So this is about the Israelis. For foreigners, what we do, we have the insurance company. They have a policy. They have a policy for foreigners in Israel, and they can give you service according to their decision. They make an agreement with one of the providers in Israel, and sometimes they have their own doctors that they're affiliated with them, and they offer you a policy with provider.
Oh, okay.
So when the tourists are coming and the students are coming to Israel, they don't need to, something happened, I don't have insurance, or I have to contact my insurance at home. You have insurance, you get a magnetic card, you go to the provider if you're sick, and you get the treatment that you need to have.
And now what's interesting about that is, so in the United States, hospitals are normally independent of the insurance companies. But from what I understand, clinics and hospitals in Israel are aligned with specific providers. Like I've seen that, and like Clalit has their own hospitals. Clarit's one of the providers. And was that always the case, or was that just something that developed?
Over the years, I think from the beginning, Clalit it's like 70% of the Israelis belong to Clalit.
Okay.
They have clinics all over the country, and they have their own hospitals, which is true. They have in some places in Israel, not in all the places. So they prefer to send to their own hospitals. But if somebody needs other treatment, which is not there, of course, they're allowed to go to other hospitals. It's very different from the States, because in the States, and I always try to explain the Americans who come to Israel, when you're sick, you go just directly to the hospital. And you get the treatment you need, and your insurance company pays for that. In Israel, we have clinics. We have clinics all over the country, and each clinic has doctors, family physicians, and nurses, and pharmacy, and laboratories, and everything is under the same roof, which is very convenient. So when the person is sick, I'm saying you don't go directly to the hospital according to the regulation in Israel, you go to the clinic. And of course, if you get a referral to go to the hospital, you go and you get the treatment you need. But in general, we use the providers before the hospitals.
Well, that's actually funny, because I was talking to my friend Moti, and I called him, and he wasn't feeling well, and he said, I'm not feeling well. I've been at Clalit all day, which is, that's what you say when you go to the clinic, if you're going to a Clalit one, but that it's so ingrained in the Israeli consciousness that, wow. Now, as I understand, and this is the one that gets difficult sometimes for Americans to understand, the basket. What is the basket? How does the basket work? Because we're, as Americans, we're darn it if we're not, I want this, I want this, I want this. And that's not always the case with the basket, correct?
The basket is a very wide basket.
Yes.
And it's not really a basket. Somebody asked me, where's the basket? Which basket? The basket it's called Sal HaBriut. It's the basket of the health services. And in Israel, this is how it works. There is a very, very large basket. The government put a lot of things in the basket. And actually, when something is in the basket, you usually get it free. Okay? So are the foreigners. If they have insurance with Harel and we take the medical services from Clalit, then medication in the basket are free for them. Israeli pay for medication in the basket a small price as 17 shekels per package. In general, the basket gives the answer to the medical services in Israel. Most of the things are in basket. Most of the treatment are in the basket. There are some medications which are not in the basket, and every 1 or 2 years the government sit and see which medication to take in or out. But usually it's a very large range of treatment.
Well, it is, and it's actually pretty impacting because there are times when I've read in the Jerusalem Post or I've read in the Times of Israel that 3 new drugs have been put into the basket, and it's big news in Israel. So the basket is integral to what people are doing and thinking of in their healthcare. Now, along the lines of the basket, well, actually, before we get into that, I want to talk about the pharmacy and going to the pharmacy outside. But before we talk about that, you mentioned that students get insurance through you guys. And that's actually a funny story. Sitting in the, we would, and I went twice. You go and your father, and now it's you, would come and stand before the auditorium and try to talk to all of us who are so like, wow, we're in Israel. What? You want us to listen to insurance? Okay, sure, whatever. And we're half listening. And I apologize from every student you've ever spoken to. It is important, but it's also important for tourists. Okay, so you mentioned that it's not like in the U.S. You can't just go anywhere. Okay, you can't just go
to
any hospital. But there are a lot of times when you don't even need to go to the hospital. You can pick up the phone. There are a lot of services through the phone, correct?
True. There is a service called Doctor Home Visit. It's Bikur Rofe. Bikur Rofe is a company that they send doctor to their house, to your house, for foreigners and for Israelis. I ordered a few times a doctor to my house when my kids were sick in the middle of the night and you don't have a place to go. You don't want to take them to the hospital. They come, they give some first aid solution. And this is a very good service. For tourists, we recommend to take the insurance because when they come to Israel, they don't have to start paying and getting back. The insurance in general it's not like a insurance for pre-existing medical condition or routine checkups. It's insurance, God forbid, for emergencies. You come here, you travel, somebody's sick, somebody falls, many cases that I can talk about, but I won't do it today.
It's okay.
Because we're in a good mood. And then it's very, very convenient when they have like a card and they have a list of providers and they know exactly where to go. They have, of course, our phone number 24/7. They can call, they can consult, and it's very nice. Like give them a peace of mind to just travel in Israel.
Absolutely. Now, one of the issues that a lot of foreigners have is the language barrier, not being able to speak Ivrit. So, what does the insurance that you guys carry do to overcome that obstacle?
The insurance company has a 24-hour service with English-speaking representatives because when we were working with foreigners, you have to speak English. We send them, everybody who has joined the insurance, get a list of medical providers and explanations how to use the insurance in English. Everything is in English with us. Of course, when you go on the street, some people know English, some not. But usually, even in the providers, when the klalit, as you say, when they see foreigners, they're really trying to help. They're usually very welcome. The tourists we like tourists. We like to see people are coming to Israel from abroad, and most of the population in Israel they're very nice to tourists and trying to help.
Absolutely. Absolutely. From the north to the south, it is very important to Israelis to be accommodating. Now, there's something else. So a friend of mine, he has what's called add-on insurance. And this is just to give people an idea of the differences, because I'm trying not only to show what Israel has, I'm also trying to show how it's different so that when people come here, they have an understanding of it. So they have what's called add-on insurance, in addition, that sometimes they'll get through their employer. And is this to cover things?
You mean Israel? People who lives in Israel, foreigners in Israel?
No, Israelis.
Israelis, okay. So they have like an extra insurance? That's what you mean?
Is that, yeah. Am I incorrect about this? Or
no, there is.
Okay.
There is. First of all, there is the national law. There are many services that you can get through the medical providers, which we're talking about now, Clalit. So, and this is what we do in everyday lives. If you ask about an extra insurance, so many Israelis has insurance like in private companies. There are private companies with health insurance. That one of the things is that you buy yourself an extra insurance for medications which are outside of the basket.
Okay.
So if you have, like, God forbid, a very disease, a very difficult disease, and you can get insurance for the medication outside the basket, and then you can, save lives.
Okay, definitely. Yeah. Now, from what I understand and from some of the reading, and I don't know if this is available for foreigners, but I do know that it's available for Israelis, dental.
Yeah, dental care is not covered in Israel. In Israel, no insurance covers dental care. We pay out of pocket to fix it. In the last, I think 5 years, they added in the basket, as we say before, they add things every year. They added the idea that kids will be treated free. I don't remember, I think until the age of 12. I paid for my kids because it was many years ago, so I didn't enjoy this.
Not that long ago.
Not that long ago, but a few years ago. And now adults pay for the for a dental treatment.
Okay.
We don't we pay out of pocket. But of course, when you have a provider and you're an Israeli and you have extra supplementary insurance in the with the provider, then you can get some discounts. That's true.
Okay.
Yeah.
There are a couple of instances in procedures that people might need who are traveling to Israel that I'd like to address. One of them is pregnant women. Natal, I'm going to sound ignorant. Natal care. So a woman who's pregnant comes and doesn't plan on having her baby in Israel, plans on flying home, but then something happens. She has travel insurance. Is that tourist insurance? What happens?
The insurance in Israel for tourists, as I say, is for emergencies, but it doesn't cover pregnancy at all. And these people should know. The insurance does not cover pregnancy, neither delivery in Israel. So usually when people tell us, but my wife is pregnant, so we say, we recommend to bring a travel insurance from your home country.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because this is not included in the policy.
So that's important. That's actually very important, something that needs to be talked about. The other thing, and that's because, thank God, it's being addressed now, mental health. So you have students, and I actually had experience with a friend with this. She had some issues while she was at school. What does student tourist insurance, does it cover any of that?
No, it doesn't cover any of that because, as you know, the premiums for the insurance in Israel, they are built on actual calculations, and all the mental issues are not covered in the insurance.
Okay.
By the way, in Israel, it was like that until, again, 5 years ago when they put in the basket and everybody who has a problem had to do it private.
That's the way it was in the U.S. too. Please continue.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So the same thing here. A few years ago, there was again the basket was expanded, and they put some treatment in the basket that people can see psychology, psychiatry, Israelis. But in general, the insurance does not cover mental issues or dental treatment.
Okay. Now, if someone does have these issues, how do they pay for it? Is it paid up front? Can they be billed? Is that case by case, or you wouldn't even have that info?
You mean about mental or what?
Mental or dental or
Mental or
just because they
dental,
rhyme. So
yeah. Mental and dental, everybody pays by himself.
okay.
And you don't get reimbursed for that.
Okay.
For the other insurance, for the insurance for medical issues, God forbid, then people don't have to pay, and that's the beauty of it. They
Okay.
don't have a copay. They don't have to pay. They don't have deductibles. You go to the doctor. You pay nothing. You know, Israeli pay 30 shekels to see a specialist, and 70 shekels for the insurance, the medication in the basket. Foreigners have a policy with no payment at all. They don't need to pay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they just go to the doctor, of course, in the provider list.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't find somebody in the list, they call us. We help all the time. We have a 24/7 service that we help. And they just go to the doctor, get whatever they would need, and if they need more medications or tests, they contact us and we help them find it.
Perfect. Now, let's say they go to a clinic and they say, the doctor says, okay, I'm going to put you on this medication. You're going to be here for how long? 3 weeks? Okay. I'm going to give you a week's worth. I'm going to give you a refill. Okay. Where do they go get that refill? Because that's one of those things that let's say emergency happens. Where would they go? How does the pharmacy work? Because I see pharmacies, I think it's Super Farm.
Super Farm, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The insurance company does not have an agreement with the Super Farm. They have agreements with other pharmacies.
Mm-hmm.
If the provider is Clalit, for example, as you had in Beersheba,
Yes.
so the Clalit has pharmacies in their clinics, as we said before. Every clinic has pharmacy and doctors. So you get a prescription from a doctor, you go to pharmacy in the building, the same building, and you get a medication.
And if you needed a refill, you just go back to that
You just
pharmacy.
go to the pharmacy, or you go back to the doctor, because you must have a prescription every time you take a medication.
Of course. Okay, wow. Quickly, just if you could, and I know that the brochure is very big, if you could highlight just some of the things, because I've asked you a couple of things about what they don't offer, and I kind of knew that they didn't offer. Yeah. But I wanted to address those things so people know straight up front, you're not going to get that. Don't come and expect to have your baby in Israel unless you have your own insurance. But what are some of the things? One of them was the phone call and doctor's visits. What are some other things? The pharmacy and the...
The idea is that you have services, that you have a list of services by the way, it's like the Israelis. Mm-hmm. If I belong to one of the providers, I cannot go to any other provider or any doctor I want. I go to the doctor with my provider that belong to my provider. I have a list. Mm-hmm. So does the foreigners, the tourists. They have a list of doctors. They have a 27 contact center that they can call if they have a problem. They call a doctor to their house. There are also clinics as Terem and Bikur Rofe,
okay,
that are very popular now in Israel. They're in most of the cities. It's a small clinics that it's not so small, but it's clinics as emergency room. And it was one of the doctors, he was American, he established the term, it was his idea, his business. It was trauma medicine that you come if something happened and you get service on the spot, like emergency room in the States.
Wow.
Same idea. So people can use these services with the insurance free. They can use the doctor home visit. They can go to the providers, doctors, and get all the emergencies. God forbid they have not dental treatment, as we said before, no delivery, no pregnancy, but yes, all the other things when you come to be here or study or travel.
And I do it every single time I come, so please, please, please do it. And I will put the information in the description about how to contact you and how to reach your website. Now I'm going to ask you one other question, and it's not what would you change in what you guys do, but what would you change in the system? What are the maybe one or two, or just one, that's fine, things that not upset you, but maybe annoy you a little bit about the healthcare system that you would change?
Yeah, it's a good question. The medicine, I must say, is one of the best in Israel, in the world. We have really research, and it's a very advanced medicine. I can compare it because I know people lived all over the world, family, and I see what we get in Israel. It's amazing. Medicine is good, but what I would change to have more doctors that will work here in Israel, and then we have less time to wait in the emergency room. I think just to have more doctors and more places for doctors in the hospital to have their residency and stage. Yeah.
Perfect. Painless. How do you feel? All right, everyone. I am going to put all of the information for how you can reach Einat, how you can reach Yedidim, get all the insurance that you need for the next time you travel to Israel. Einat, it has been an honor. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was my pleasure. Nice to see you.
Of course. All right, that's it. תודה רבה. להתראות ויאללה ביי.
פנייך מה יפות, מנועזת עד באבות, מבטך שולח להבות, נהרות לא יאכלו חוות, עזה וביישנית, רכה ועקשנית, גסה וחושנית, דוני אדוני כמו תמיד עוקצת, כמו מלכת דבורים מאהבתך, מזמינה אך בסוף הורגת, כמו שאת בונה כך הורסת. דוניה, דוניה, דוני, 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 דוניה, דוניה, דוני, 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 דוניה, אך דוניה, דוניה, דוניה. את זוכרת איך נשקת עיניי, את זוכרת איך בכית אליי,